How can you learn English as fast as possible? There are a few things that you really need to consider if you're trying to learn quick, and I'm going to share with you those things today. Let's get started. The first thing that you really need to consider when learning English as fast as possible is volume. Volume is the most important thing to consider, because if you're spending 1 hour per day compared to 2 hours per day or 3 hours per day, and what that total is per week, let's say you're studying for 7 hours per week, or are you studying for 2 hours per week or 15 hours, these are going to determine the speed in which you reach your goal. So if you spend less time, then it's going to take you longer to reach your goal, right? So let's say for most people, if they look at how much volume they want to actually spend on developing their language skills, they need to really think about how much they want to commit. And then if I would say for average learners, they might want to learn for 1 hour per day, which means 7 hours per week. So then they can think about how much time that's going to compound over the course of 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. So for example, for myself, I'm learning Spanish right now, and I spend 2 hours per day learning this language, which should take me around 3 years from A1 to reach a C1 level of fluency. But of course, this is also determined by how I'm spending that time. If I'm spending 2 hours a day passively, then it means that I'm just going to learn vocabulary, but I'm not actually going to be able to use it correctly and be able to speak. So that's why you have so many people that learn English in school, but by the time they graduate, even after 10 years, they just have passive knowledge of the language, and they're not actually able to apply it and use it in real life, which typically for their company or for their job, this is where they actually need to use it. So yeah, a lot of people will be really frustrated and annoyed by the education system, because it hasn't actually equipped them to be able to use this language for career purposes, for business purposes, for their professional life. So it's really frustrating for most people. So, like I mentioned, I study for 2 hours per day. I would say this is on the intense end. So 2 hours per day is not what most people are going to be able to do. And, most people aren't able to do that. So I would say for the average person who's trying to develop their language skills, I would aim for 1 hour per day, which means 7 hours per week, and then divide that hour between speaking for half of it and then listening for half of it, okay? And this is gonna, I think, help you to learn in the fastest way possible. But of course, if you can spend more time speaking, say for example 1 or 2 hours per week with a coach, this is going to be ideal, and it's going to help you to develop your speaking skills, and then in your own time you can focus on your listening skills. So just really think about how much volume you want to commit and what level of intensity do you want. So I would say 2 or plus hours per day is a very intensive level. 1 hour per day, I would say, is a great goal to have. Less than 1 hour per day, it's not ideal, but I think if someone has a spare 30 minutes, of course, that's better than nothing, and it is gonna add up over the course of weeks or months or years, okay? So you really got to think about the compound effect, and over the course of the year, how much time are you committing to your language skills? And really think about those long-term goals. You can think about the short-term goals, but the long-term goals are what's really going to help you to stay consistent and to be able to actually commit to being able to invest those hours each week into your learning plan. Okay, so volume is really important. It's the same as if you're going to the gym. Most people wouldn't go to the gym just 1 day per week, right? They will go at least 3 times, because they want to develop their muscles, they want to stay fit and healthy, and that will be the typical amount of time, 3 hours per week for people to stay fit and healthy. Well, it's this exact same for language learning. If you want to be able to actively use this language, if you want it to come to you quickly, if you want to be able to speak smoothly without many pauses, and the vocabulary is very active in your mind, of course, you need to be practicing daily for you to be able to get those benefits, because our minds, they are really great at helping us to, access information that we use. But if we don't need to access that information daily, then it's going to be much slower and harder to actually reach for those words and those sentences and those grammar structures. So your mind is really good and efficient if you use it. So that's why daily is definitely recommended. Okay, so the next thing is your strategy. Okay, so how can you actually develop a strategy that you enjoy? This is the most important thing. If you don't like your strategy, you're not going to be consistent, and it's not going to be sustainable for you to actually continue and develop your ability to focus on that language. So of course, find a podcast that you love. That's the number one thing. Find something that you can listen to again and again, and you don't really get bored of it. Make sure there's new content coming out each week. Anything is good. Of course, if as you are developing your listening skills, the harder level of content, you want to build your way up to that. So start with subtitles, start with slower level content, start with speakers that you can just catch on to what they say a little bit more. It's going to feel a lot more rewarding. So this video, for example, this type of podcast is really great for learners because my accent is pretty neutral and my speaking speed is pretty standard. So I would say that this is a really good pace and a really good one to focus on, but definitely mix in other videos, other types of native speakers to help you to be able to make the most, to be able to adapt to lots of different accents and different speaking styles and speaking speeds. Okay, so like for myself, I will focus on one podcast that I really like, but I'll also implement maybe 2 or 3 others where the speaking speed is different, the people speaking are different, they have different styles, different personalities, and this is going to really help me to adapt to the language. So in terms of strategy, I would definitely recommend, find your favorite podcast, find some active strategies. Don't just focus on passive. So a lot of people think about, what book can I read? Okay, that's great. Develop your reading skills, improve, but that shouldn't be your primary focus. Remember, reading is passive. So you want to focus on things that are active. So speaking with a coach, or speaking to yourself, or mimicking, or doing any type of like for example, if you want to write down what the speaker is saying as they are saying it, that's also a good method for you to use. But I would actually recommend anything that's more active, that doesn't involve writing but involves you speaking, maybe summarizing information. This is also a good one as well. So dictation was the other one that I was referring to. So dictation is also useful. So check out these different strategies and find the ones that work for you and create a plan that you think is going to be the most useful. Okay. So next thing is, your strategy must evolve over time. So if you are still learning the same way you learned in your first year of learning English, like what are you doing? You need to evolve, you need to change. So when you are developing your strategy, you really need to think about, what do you want to increase or improve on over time. So for example, what that may look like is, in the beginning, in your first year, you're relying a lot on subtitles, you're watching lots of videos. That's maybe quite beginner friendly, but as you get to the intermediate stage, you need to challenge yourself a little bit more. You need to, like in the gym, you have progressive overload. Means you keep increasing the weight so you get stronger. It's the same with language learning. For you to develop your neural pathways in your mind, for your neuroplasticity to start forming new neural pathways, you must make it a bit more challenging, a bit harder, stressing your mind to actually improve and be able to speak better and to be able to form new sentences with this language. Okay. The next thing is, immerse yourself daily. If you can immerse yourself daily, you're gonna reap the benefits of the compound effect. So what is the compound effect? It means that daily practice, you will remember vocabulary a lot better. You're gonna retain information a lot better. It's gonna be more rewarding because you're gonna see benefits progress quicker. So having that daily habit is gonna just really pay dividends in the future, and you're just going to learn faster. It's just going to be a faster process for you. Okay. So immersing yourself can be just listening to podcasts, watching videos. Of course, if you love TV shows, you can leverage that. Anything that you enjoy, anything that is just listening or speaking in the language. Okay. The next thing, of course, is connected to this, which is speak daily, speak, talk as much as you can. And of course, getting feedback is super useful for that. So if you can have a coach or teacher, that's the best. But if you can't, then I would definitely recommend just using some different tools that can maybe give you some feedback, or at least check your grammar and check the different structures that you're using to make sure that you're speaking correctly. Okay. And then the last one is, connect this language to your life. Your life is the most interesting thing to you. So when you speak in a language, you're going to be talking about your life, your job, your friends, your family, your interests. So talk about those things. Learn the vocabulary that's important for you to learn. Understand how you're going to use it in a business context. Understand how you're going to speak about this with your friends or with your family members. So make it relevant. And this is why I am not a huge advocate of apps like Duolingo or other apps that are just really basic because it's systematic, but it's not connected to your life. It's not connected to who you are as a person. So I think it's much better to do that. So if you found this video useful today, guys, and you're looking to level up your English, you can head to Vallo. It's VALLHO. So Vallo is an English coaching program that has been designed and tailored to help you to bridge the gap between your current stage to the next level in your English. And this is by identifying your gaps, your sticking points, and what's stopping you from becoming a great English speaker. So you can head there and check it out, and I'll see you on the next one.